I'm Clint.
I'm Phil, saving you tons of money for your barbecue.
2.5 pounds of Sheboygan brats, $5.49 each. And 17 pounds of Frontier hardwood lump charcoal, just $8.99 each.
Ay caramba, this is a home run.
Lump charcoal for $8.99, brats for $5.49.
Hot prices.
Service and savings. It's Woodman's.
You draft the 2018 Rookie of the Year in the 5th round. What running back are fantasy owners sleeping on in rookie drafts? And we play a Would You Rather with one of the newest members of the Chicago Bears. Plus, the 2017 FFPC 1250 number 3 live best ball champ Kevin Proctor is here to talk about the Browns backfield, loading up on rookies in redraft leagues, and much more. We've got a great show for you. Dave Gerzak is here. I'm Eric Balkman. Stick around. Your Season 7 High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour premiere show starts right now.
Hey, bro.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now listening to the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. It's the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for football analysis from the best fantasy players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Dave Gerzak.
Thank you so much, Rob. Greetings and salutations, all of you Balkaholics and Gerzak addicts. Welcome to the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by MyFFPC.com. I am, of course, your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman, and my co-host is the patron saint of fantasy football, Dave Gerzak, better known as the Dizzle. Coming up on tonight's show is David Johnson being undervalued, who is the Colts' number 2 wideout, and more. Plus, the 2017 FFPC 1250 live best ball number 3 league winner Kevin Proctor drops in to give us some best ball tips, what's stuck out for him in FFPC drafts so far this season, and much, much more. Shout out to the chat room right now. Feel free to post any questions you might have in there. If you want to connect with us on Twitter, you can do so at HSFF Hour, at Eric Balkman, or at David Gerzak this evening. You can post on our Facebook page at facebook.com/HSFF Hour 2. If you want to chime in and talk with us, give us a call at 347-426-3682. That's 347-GAME-OVA. You can also email the show at the inbox at highstakesfantasyfootball@gmail.com. If you have any questions for us, now is the time to send them. Our producer and mutual friend Rob and our audio engineer Bryce will get those questions to us in the fantasy feedback segment later on in the show. Season 7, Dave, I misspoke last week. I thought we did Season 7 already. We did not. I was so excited that we were going to have our 8th season, but that's not till next year, as we are kicking off Season 7 this week. So very exciting that we've been doing this 6 years. And now here we are in our 7th year. Did you ever think we would get to 7 years of doing this show?
No. You know what? I didn't think it would take me 7 years to still have the live chat not load properly for me, but here we are. It's great.
Here we are indeed.
You know what? I will say I'm no longer really very nervous doing the show anymore. I'm comfy.
Well, were you ever? I never really thought you were ever nervous doing the show.
Not really, actually. That sounds like something good to say. It's no big deal.
You're the Dizzle. You're not allowed to get nervous.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah, it's very exciting. I'm glad to be back.
Yeah.
I'm glad we got re-signed for our 7th year option. We got franchise tag.
Right.
Le'Veon Bell, we signed the contract. Unlike Le'Veon Bell, we signed the deal.
We always sign the deal.
So we're good.
Yep, we'll take that guaranteed money every single
Thanks,
time.
Alex. You're the best, buddy. We really appreciate you. Keep bringing us back for more and more.
One of us appreciates you more than the other.
That's true.
But it's very close. Football Guys Early Bird Promotion. Get that free $35 credit now. You have until June 30th to sign up for a team. You have July 15th till draft it, so get in on those early Football Guys drafts, and make sure you're getting those free $35 teams from the FFPC. Our main event, Early Bird, expires May 31st. That is 2 weeks from today. Room discounts at Planet Hollywood. Don't forget about that $10 sportsbook restaurant lounge viewing to Caesars property when you stay at Planet Hollywood or another Caesars property out in Vegas. So a lot of information there. You can check that out at myffpc.com/main event. Register for best ball drafts at $35, $77, and $250 that are now drafting, slow and live. Dynasty startups are available. I think we have some Dynasty startups kicking off this weekend, Dave, don't we? Like stuff that's still available, open spots?
Actually, they're going to be drafting on the 26th because we want to give people a little bit of time for trading.
So, a little bit of breathing room.
Yeah. But
get your ducks in a row.
There's a lot of them that are close to filling with 4 left, 5 left, 6 left, stuff like that. So those are all going to fill.
And then final plug for me, rotounderworld.com/podcast. You can listen to the latest episode with Matt Kelly and yours truly. Of course, you can follow Matt on Twitter at @fantasy_mansion. He will be in the Pros vs. Joes competition again this year. This is one of the most entertaining podcasts out there, much more entertaining than this one. In fact, I'll say this right now. Push stop on your iPhone, iPod. Go listen to the Roto Underworld podcast.
This is just, get treated this way is disrespectful.
Fantastic stuff there.
Matt's great.
Yeah, he is great. It's called the Mark Ingram Movie Cliche is the name of the episode. It's 2 hours, so you got to dedicate yourself to it.
You know what? He doesn't do it live. He tapes it, and then he
does a lot of editing,
a
lot of post-prod
Our stuff makes it all the way through.
Right.
So what are we supposed to do about that?
Yeah. Okay. So check that out, rotoworld.com/podcast. Enough of that. Let's get to the real star of the show tonight, and I want to bring him in right now. He is coming up on completing his 3rd decade playing fantasy football, and 12 of those years at the high-stakes level. Coming off a 17th place overall finish in the WCOF in 2010, he joined the FFPC in 2011. Back in 2013, he finished 5th overall in the main event, and if it wasn't for a costly lineup decision in Week 14 of that year, we might be talking to a main event overall champ tonight. He does have numerous top 100 finishes in the Football Guys Players Championship to his name and is the defending champ in the FFPC 1250 Best Ball number 3 League, and he is our first guest of Season 7 on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour. Please welcome in the owner of the Throwbacks franchise, Kevin Proctor. Kevin, thanks for doing the show on a Thursday this week, man. We really appreciate it.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
To kick things off, I want to talk to you about this Week 14 decision that may have cost you the main event title. It would have been 5 years ago now. Can you tell us a little bit what happened there?
Oh, yeah, there's nothing like telling a story that cost you $250,000. But it was one lineup decision, Week 14. It came down to Robert Griffin III was my starting quarterback the whole year. And it was his 2nd season, so coming off the ACL, it wasn't his electric rookie season. Andy Dalton was my backup at the time. I had played RG3 every week up into Week 14, the first round of the championship rounds. And the decision was RG3 at home versus the Chiefs. And it happened to be snowing in Washington that day, just a little bit. And the Chiefs had a pretty good defense that year, and Andy Dalton was playing at home against the Colts, and it was raining in Cincinnati that day. So the decision was, I thought maybe it would be a little bit more of a shootout in the Cincinnati game. Both games had somewhat low over-unders. In the end, I stuck to my guns. I went with RG3. He got knocked out in the first half of that game. He scored 13 points. Andy Dalton lit up the Colts that game, threw 4 touchdowns, scored over 30. And the difference of 20-some-odd points was the difference between me finishing 5th and 1st that year. So, yeah, one decision cost me the title and $250,000. So that's a tough one to live with.
It is, but, the way that you explain it, I feel like if you had to do it over again, your reasoning was pretty sound in this, and it was, it was unfortunate that RG3 had the injury. But I think, the thing that I take from that is, you used all the best possible information at your disposal. You made what you thought would be the right decision. It didn't work out, but I can't believe that decision has changed the way that you've managed lineups in the future, though, right?
No, it would not. No, it wasn't. It's you know what, I made the decision. You make the decisions, you live with them. You're never going to get them all right. I did believe at the time that Dalton might have been the best decision. I think the thing that bothers me the most about it. But I stuck with my guns, and I went with RG3. So turned out to be the wrong decision.
Yeah, let's listen. We don't want to bring up past pain too much on the show. I know it's terrible.
You're ruining the interview already.
I am. I'm train wrecking. I'm going to try to.
Hey, what's this? Diane Sawyer, and you're trying to make him cry on the show.
I don't want to. I don't want to do.
Tell us about. Do you have any problems with your childhood?
All right, we don't need to go to that extreme here. Kevin, I'm going to try to dig myself out of this hole right now. Tell the listeners what you do for a living when you're not cashing FFPC checks.
Absolutely. I'm a business development officer and trust department in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. So I work with one of the large national banks, and I work with 17 retail branches in looking for opportunities for our group.
I just learned something, Balky.
Okay.
It's not Wilkes-Bar. It's Wilkes-Barre.
Wilkes-Barre.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
So stupid.
Yeah.
Terrible.
I knew that because isn't there, and Kevin, maybe you can, I know this is not football, but is there a Yankees or a Phillies minor league affiliate there?
Yes, there's the Rail Riders, which is the Yankees AAA team.
Yeah,
And
I
that's
kind of
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Yeah.
Very, very cool. Let's move on and talk about that 1250 title last year, Dave.
So, yeah, you drafted the currently suspended Mark Ingram at the 4-1-0. He's still going at the 3-1-12 this year, even after his suspension. In fact, according to our statistics, he has yet to fall out of the 5th round overall in any draft.
Since the NFL draft.
Since the NFL draft.
Yeah.
Do you think the 4-game suspension is a little bit overblown, or do you think FFPC drafters are taking him a little too high? I mean, too high. That was a performance-enhancing drug. He wasn't smoking.
In the leagues that I've done a lot of drafts since the suspension. The drafts that I've seen him go in have typically he's fallen between the mid-5th to the late 5th round. At that price, I'm definitely a buyer, and the reason being, especially in the draft expert leagues, when I'm selecting my players in draft expert leagues, I'm looking for guys that could pop 20-point games, 20 or 30-point games, and if you look at Mark Ingram last year, I mean, from week 5 to 16, so you're going to get basically 11 games out of him because of the bye week. He had 7 games with 20 or more points. So I think you'd be hard pressed to find a running back from the 6th round on that's going to give you 7 games at 20 points or more. So I'm buying at that price. I think that's a good price from there. It's a little bit more difficult in the season long league. The main event, football guys events. You're sacrificing a third of the season. But I am still willing. In fact, I did take him at 5-12 in the last football guys draft that I did. So I am still willing to pay that price.
In that same draft, I believe my figures are correct here, Kevin, but at the 7-12 in that same draft, you took rookie running back from the Browns, Nick Chubb. I'm curious to find out how you see the backfield touches, carries and catches included. How do you see them being divided up between with Nick Chubb, Carlos Hyde, and Duke Johnson? Yeah,
I mean, I'll give you two examples of where I think that's going to go. In 2015, the Arizona Cardinals drafted David Johnson, and he turned out to be a mid-round pick in fantasy football. People are worrying about Ellington and Chris Johnson being in the mix that year. Clearly, David Johnson was the best running back in the preseason. I think if you watch the games, everybody could see that. Bruce Arians kind of slow played him. He got some action early in the year. He busted some big plays, and then he kind of went away in the middle of the year. Chris Johnson goes down later on in that year. He gets a chance to be the 3-down back, and he ended up being the best fantasy running back at the end of the year that year. A lot of teams that had him rostered won their leagues. The next year, 2016, he's a first-round draft pick. And I think similarly last year with Alvin Kamara, same thing, drafted by the Saints, mid-round pick. People worried about Mark Ingram and Adrian Peterson running in front of him. Peterson gets cut. Kamara gets his chance. Turns into one of the best running backs last year. This year, he's a first-round draft pick. I think that's what you're going to see with Chubb. I think early on you'll see, Hyde and Duke Johnson certainly will be in the mix. I think by week 5 or 6, I think Chubb will become the winning ball carrier there, and I think towards the end of the year he very well may be a league winner for a lot of teams that draft him. And I do think next year when we're looking at drafting Chubb, he'll be a late first, early second round draft pick. I think he's dynamic. I think he's the second best running back in the draft next to Saquon Barkley. And I think if you look at his combine numbers, if it wasn't for Barkley, we'd be talking about him a lot.
Yeah, certainly I think that the biggest thing that people penalize Nick Chubb over is that ACL injury that he suffered at Georgia. But if you look at the film since he tore that ACL, you see a lot of his wiggle, a lot of his mobility has returned. Maybe not all the way, but he doesn't have to have it return all the way when you have an offensive line like that, and with the other playmakers that are on the Browns right now. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for some open and running lanes, and maybe some good opportunities for touchdowns there as well. These Browns running backs still bunched up in FFPC drafts right now. Chubb is actually going first among them at the 607, but not far behind is Carlos Hyde at the 707 and Duke Johnson at the 710 right now. So clearly Chubb has risen a little bit, but you would not think if he is as talented as a lot of people think he is, we could be looking at a few round jump, Dave, by the time the main event rolls around. You could see Nick Chubb going maybe the 3rd or 4th round.
That would be a lot for him to go that high.
You don't see it happening. That's fine. You can call me out on it.
No, I don't see it happening because I don't think the coaching staff puts him there. I actually totally agree with everything Kevin said.
Yeah.
I'm actually curious if the Browns are going to re-sign Duke Johnson because contract's up after
That's
the year.
another thing that we're going to have to.
And Chubb actually looked good catching the ball in the combine as pro day. His metrics are decent actually too for me, a pass catching back, and he is rocked up.
Right.
Saquon Barkley actually said, "Who's the guy that impressed you at the combine?" And he goes, "Nick Chubb."
Yeah, and I'll say this too. Duke Johnson, free agent after this year. Carlos Hyde, I know it's a 3-year deal. It's very easy for Cleveland to get out. It's very easy for Cleveland to get out of that after 1 year. You could be looking at Nick Chubb as a full 3-down feature back, like bar none next year, and he could be honestly an early 2nd round pick in FFPC drafts next year. Things fall that way.
That's what Kevin just said. Kevin, you want to finish that up?
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on?
Yeah, no. The only thing I'd add to that is, I know he didn't have a lot of catches last year. Sonny Michel only had 9 catches last year. Nobody's worried about his hands, right? And his freshman year, Nick Chubb had 18 catches, 200 some odd yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns. So certainly he's got the ability to catch the ball.
Yeah, he definitely can catch. I like watching Chubb do interview too. He's like he always looks like he's serious and always kind of like pissed off.
Yeah.
I like running backs like that.
You like that?
Not the little jiggly guys like Darius Geis. He's got his hair all flailing all over the place.
Got to get the guys
he's annoying.
Business time and chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, so back to a real question. Kevin, you've done a lot of best ball drafts already. Can you give us some of the things that stuck out to you so far? Any tips, advice, tidbits?
Trends, anything you've noticed?
Yeah, exactly. Anything that can help us solve more best ball drafts?
I'm still trying to figure it out for myself, but no, I think more and more you're starting to see that running backs are flying off the board. I think the days of the 0 running back strategy are falling. You'll see 1 or 2 guys a draft that'll try that strategy, but for the most part, people are off that strategy. The rookie running backs are really moving up the board. I think that's based on the success of the rookie running backs in 2017. So whereas this time last year you were able to get Kamara in round 15, 16, and Hunt in round 10, Dalvin Cook in round 6, you're going to invest a 3rd or 4th round for almost every single rookie running back. Saquon goes in the 1st, of course. And then, of course, in the FFPC with the premium put on tight ends are flying off the board early as well. And it doesn't seem to be a deep tight end class to me. Wide receivers do seem to be pretty deep this year. So my strategy has been, for the most part, running backs, tight ends early, and then loading up on tight end or receivers in mid and late rounds.
So, Balky, let me ask you, so do you have ADP up there?
I sure do, Dave.
Where's Rojo going, Ronald Jones?
Ronald Jones, I believe, is the 501. I checked it earlier today. 501.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so that is interesting. Okay, so so good.
Go ahead. It's your interview, buddy. You talk, Kevin.
I've seen him going in the late third and early fourth in some of the drafts even. So I definitely see Ronald Jones creeping up there as well.
He looked good in minicamp, actually, catching passes. Dirk Ketter, right?
Yeah.
He seems like one of those old school kind of dickhead coaches where he's like never wants to give a rookie any credit for anything. He's like, yeah, he looked good catching the ball. Yeah. It's one practice, whatever. Well, he was pissed off that he was doing well.
And what's funny is like Ronald Jones could actually take he could underperform this year and not meet expectations, and then the offseason next year we'll hear him espousing praise all over the place around. This guy is what he's done this offseason. It has been unbelievable.
Yeah, it's like the same dude.
Tampa could take a running back in the third round next year. Yeah, I mean we'll see. He's probably a special team or whatever. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
A pass catching back.
Kevin Proctor, the 1250 live best ball number 3 from the FFPC, joins us. He joins us tonight, but he won the league last year. And Kevin, I noticed also in your latest Football Guys draft, 6 rookies made their way onto your team, as well as Rico Gathers.
A dynasty player.
Yeah, exactly. As well as Rico Gathers, who basically didn't. I mean, I think you got a little preseason action in last year, but that was it. So 6 rookies. Rico Gathers. Talk a little bit about the strategy of why you selected so many first-year players in that specific draft. Yeah,
well, I may not like this team come early September, but you never know. In this particular draft, I had the 12th pick, and I got my foundation guys in my starting lineup. I have Cousins and Jared Goff as my quarterbacks, Leonard Fournette and Drake as my starting running backs, Allen Robinson, Julian Edelman, Robert Woods at receiver, and Rob Gronkowski at tight end. And I like to think of myself as a pretty aggressive drafter. So once I get that foundation in, I'm usually swinging for the fences, looking for some home run picks. So one guy that I draft consistently, and I believe, Dave, that you love this guy as well, DJ Moore from Carolina. I just think the guy's electric. When he gets the ball, he turns into a running back. Steve Smith even compared him to himself on the NFL Network, and I could see that. I think that guy has great potential to come right out of the gate and be a productive player. Also, Michael Gallup, and I'll throw it at you guys. I mean, who do you think Dallas has a receiver that's really worth anything at this point? I mean, I don't see it. Allen Hurns to me is a number 2, maybe a number 3. Jacksonville almost cut him. So I think Michael Gallup has early potential to do something this year.
Yeah, he definitely has the opportunity to maybe make a Sterling Shepard, maybe even a bigger than Sterling Shepard-like impact in his rookie year last year. Shepard benefited from the Marshall and Beckham injuries, but certainly Gallup could be like that all season long.
You know who the Cowboys should sign? There's that free agent wide receiver, because the receiving core is problematic.
Does Bryant
out there? They should sign him too.
Exactly.
Wait a minute. They're the team that cut him.
Yeah.
They're like the one team that needs Des Bryant, and they're the ones that cut him.
I want to get back to this. The drafting of all the rookies. I think when you're drafting Football Guys drafts this early, I think the idea is to sort of lock in, and not even Football Guys drafts, just any drafts in general in April, May, June. The sort of idea is to lock in those solid guys early on. But then, you want to be taking these home run type picks. Alvin Kamara at this time last year was like a 16th, 15th round pick. Kareem Hunt was like a 10th or 11th round pick. It's these first year players, these rookies. If you hit on them in the late round, it's like a cheat code, man. And you pair those, as long as your guys stay healthy at the top of the draft, man. You got a fantastic opportunity to do some serious damage in the contest. So I mean, Kevin, you say you may not like this team in September. There's a chance you might really like this team in September.
Well, that's just it. I mean, at this point, you could potentially get some bargains, because we all know darn well if Nick Chubb breaks a 70-yard run in the preseason, he's shooting up 2 or 3 rounds. If Gallup or Moore makes a play in the preseason, they're jumping up several rounds. So, yeah, to your point, you definitely could get some value. You could also get burnt, but I'm gonna swing for the fences more times than not at this time of the year.
I agree. That's actually a really interesting way to look at it.
Totally with you.
Early football, and plus, you get the waiver period before the season starts.
2 of them.
Yeah, you can pick up Justin Watson if he showed him, Deshaun Watson tore an ACL and Godwin also tore an ACL.
Justin Jackson,
right,
from the Chargers.
There you go.
Another guy. Who knows? You never know.
Speaking of, go ahead, Kevin.
I may drop half this team.
Hey, that's not a bad move. That's awesome. Well, there's that, we may talk about him later, but that is a Darius Fountain.
We're not going to talk about him later. Oh, no, we could talk about him later, but you could bring him up, yeah.
The number 2 wide receiver position for the Colts is wide open.
Right.
He was drafted ahead of Deion Kane, right?
He was.
And he had a 42.5-inch vertical, like an 11-something broad jump, 4.49 40, 6'1", 210, out of Northern Iowa. He could be the number 2 wide receiver for this team. And in dynasty drafts, he's barely getting drafted at all. If you have a 4-round dynasty draft, no one's taking this guy.
I think what we need to do is find out what the starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, Jacoby Brissett, has to say about his favorite receivers,
right.
And then we'll figure it out from
there.
there.
Nerf ball Andrew Luck neckbeard doesn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so speaking of players, weird ones like that, is there a player, Kevin, that you are really heavily investing in that you can share with the listeners so we can all, ape your draft?
Yeah. One guy that I seem to target a lot is, Allen Robinson in the 4th round. I think he is in a good situation in Chicago. I think he's going to see a lot of targets there. And I think for the first time in his career, he's got a quarterback that has some accuracy. If you think about in college, he played with Christian Hackenberg, and in Jacksonville, he was always frustrated playing with Blake Bortles. So he's 2 years removed from a 1,400-yard, 14-touchdown season. And I think he's going to get all the opportunity in the world with the Bears this year. So he's one guy that I target. I really love Joe Mixon on the swing. I really think it's going to be a breakout season for Joe. We talked a little bit about DJ Moore. I like Zach Ertz at the end of the second, early third. I think he's coming off a career year, and Carson Wentz and Nick Foles seem to have taken a liking to him. So I think he's just going to keep going. I can see him having 100 catches this year. Those are some of the guys that I think
100.
A lot in the early rounds.
A lot of good names to be paying attention to there for fellow high-stakes players. Kevin, last year, Todd Gurley rewarded owners who drafted him in like the 2nd or maybe even 3rd round with an MVP-type season after he let a lot of owners down who drafted him in the 1st round the year before. Is there a guy, maybe being taken in those first few rounds, or not necessarily there, but is there a guy that you could see bouncing back in a similar way this season that could really help a lot of owners who maybe he burned last season?
Yeah, I think that guy is Joe Mixon for me. I think he's got the ability. He's got the size to be a 3-down back. He's not coming out on the goal lines. He's got great hands. I think towards the end of last year, I think we would have saw that. I think that Cincinnati was about to make him the workhorse back after splitting time with Hill and Gio for part of the season, but unfortunately he got injured, and I don't think he was able to showcase what exactly he could do. And I do believe that they're rebuilding their offensive line this year. They're getting Eifert back. They're getting Ross back. I expect the team to be much better on offense this year, and I think Joe Mixon could be that guy that carries teams to the championship.
Yeah, Mixon's an interesting guy, and he's a guy that we'll have to be paying attention to. I mean, obviously, FFPC drafters have not dropped him significantly based on his season last year. He's going at the 302 right now, so you still have to invest a significant pick in to him, but it might be a pick worth investing in this year, Dave.
I just have a
go ahead.
question about Joe Mixon.
I can see the gears turning over there.
Well, and I don't just. I've never been a big Joe Mixon fan.
That is true.
So Joe Mixon in college averaged 6.8 yards per carry, which
crushed it.
Incredible.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. But last year he averaged 3.5 yards per carry.
Right.
I just have a tough time. Getting around that. I don't understand. I mean, I know that I assume the offensive line there were some issues or whatever. Any insight there, Kevin?
And Kevin, before you say anything, I will say this. I will say that Cincinnati lost 2 of their main cogs along the offensive line before Joe Mixon even took a snap for the Bengals last year. So there was an adjustment period there.
In free agency, you mean?
Yes, in free agency. They lost somebody to the Rams and somebody, I can't remember where the other guy
They had
was.
other players.
It's not like they were blocking with 3 guys.
They had 5 guys.
But there is, as offensive lines go, there's a certain amount of familiarity and gelling that needs to take place, and I think clearly that it did not take place last year. But Kevin, I'll let you go ahead. That's my point that I wanted to make about Mixon.
Yeah, I would say they brought in the tackle from Buffalo. They traded for the tackle from Buffalo. They drafted a center. I think they brought in the old Dallas Cowboys offensive line coach. They're rebuilding the offensive line, and I think, Dave, if you look, I know you're saying 3.5 yards a carry, but I think if you look at the end of the year, he was starting to bust off a little bit better yards per carry games. I think he had like a 4.9 yard per carry game towards the end of the year, 100-yard rushing game. So I think he was coming on, and I think if he was able to finish that year out, I think those numbers would have been a lot better. It's hard to get going.
Yeah, I'm willing to listen, by the way.
7-8 carries a game.
Right. No, that makes sense, actually. He doesn't get much of a rhythm. And to be fair, too, he had 30 catches for 287 yards on 34 targets. I mean, that's like a 90% catch rate. You can't really beat that. And averaging like 9.6 yards per catch. So maybe I need to look at Mixon just a little bit more.
Well, you will have time, Dave.
I do have time.
Yeah, exactly. That's the beauty of having Kevin on at the season premiere. We have all this time to digest this data, digest these opinions and thoughts, and really use them to our own selfish advantage.
All right, so besides picking the best players, what do you think is the most important thing to make sure you get right when you're drafting in a high-stakes best ball league?
For me, it's there's no set number of positions that I'm looking to draft. There's no strategy in terms of who I'm taking in the first 4 rounds. I have a list of guys that I like. Like I said earlier, I like guys that could pop 20 to 30 point games. You're not going to win a best ball league with guys that are getting you 8, 9, 10 points every week. You need the guys that could have the big play potential. So I'm looking for those kind of guys. I like drafting tight ends early in these leagues. There was a league last year where a 77 where I came out of the gate and drafted 4 straight tight ends and won the league. So,
oh wow!
So
I bet you. So seriously, wait, let me interrupt you. Did everyone hate you in that league? Because you were like the biggest knob because you took all the tight ends. What they say? Are they like, oh, come on, man, really?
They couldn't comprehend what I was doing, so I'm glad it worked out anyway. But Rich Dunn, who you guys know, I do a lot of drafts with him on the 35s. He uses that strategy a lot.
Yep.
He has a lot of success. If you look as to why, I mean, if you look at the game logs for those top tier tight ends, they're getting 7, 8, 9 games where they're popping 20-point weeks. I mean, they're really consistent. Yeah. They're giving you high production every week. And I also the other thing I really try to do if I can, if the price is right, I like to handcuff my running backs. If you look at that big dog league that I won last year, I took Dalvin Cook in the 3rd round. I came back with Latavius Murray and McKinnon, probably rounds like 17 and 20. So without handcuffing Dalvin Cook, there's no way I win that league. And most of the leagues that I won last year, most of the draft expert leagues, I had Ingram and Kamara. So I handcuffed Ingram with Kamara, and obviously that worked out pretty well. So
they're probably starting together a lot. Yeah, that's great.
Kevin Proctor, the 1250, number 3, live best ball champ from the FFPC last year, joining a program tonight. Kevin, we are running a little bit late on time, but I do want to squeeze in at least one email here. This is from Jim in Jersey City, New Jersey. He writes, "Hey, Kevin, got a fantasy face-off for you. Who are you drafting first this season, Jimmy Graham or Hunter Henry?" Thanks, man. That is Jim in Jersey City, New Jersey. Thanks for the email, Jim. So, Jimmy, a tight end question here. Which guy do you like better, basically? Is it Graham or is it Henry for you, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm all over Hunter Henry this year. I think this is his year to break out. I could see a Zach Ertz type season for him. He came on a little bit late last year before getting injured. And I do like Jimmy Graham. Don't get me wrong. I think he's going to have a good year with Green Bay. So I don't think he can go wrong with either one of those guys. But I'm going to go with youth, and I'm going to go with Hunter Henry on that one.
I would agree with that, Dave. You're the guy I wonder if you agree, because we had that Jimmy Graham wager, and you had bet on him scoring. I can't remember what we said it at, 8 touchdowns or whatever it was. You bet the over on that. Do you like Graham better than Henry, or would you rather take Henry?
With Gates not coming back, I would take Henry.
You'd take Henry. Okay.
I like him quite a bit.
So it's a clean sweep.
One of my Dynasty Leagues trivia tidbit, I have Hunter Henry and Hayden Hurst. Quadruple H.
Yeah, quadruple H.
Anyway, who gives a crap? Whatever. Who gives okay, anyway, so last question here, Kevin. By the way, thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate it. Who is one player you'll be avoiding in the early rounds of FFPC drafts this summer? And also, is a sleeper you plan on targeting in the late to middle to late rounds? Are we talking about Dynasty?
No, this is like redraft, football guys, best ball, whatever.
All right, this is the regular redraft stuff.
Yeah, I guess the guy that I haven't drafted yet goes in the early rounds. Probably Keenan Allen. Had a great year last year. Stayed injury free for the first time in his career. More than anything, I just don't trust him to stay healthy. So I try to avoid Keenan Allen early on. The other guy too that I haven't drafted yet is Julio Jones, and not that against Julio, I just think Steve Sarkisian just basically ruined that offense last year. Until I see him call a good game, I'm going to stay away from Julio Jones. Guys that I'm targeting mid-round, Cooper Kupp. I think one of Dave's guys. I think he's going to grow on last year. He had a phenomenal rookie season. I think he's the trusted guy in the slot for Goff. I think he's going to grow on last year. And let's see, Michael Gallup, DJ Moore, some guys that we talked about earlier. Corey Clement is an interesting guy to me. I hate Jay Ajayi, so I can see Clement being the back that gets the most production in that Eagles offense. And one last guy I would say that I'm keeping an eye on. It's depending on whether he gets suspended or not, and how many games, is Robbie Anderson. He produced at a wide receiver 2 level last year, late in the year, and I think he's due for a breakout season. So if he avoids suspension, that's somebody I'd be targeting in the middle rounds.
Hey, Kevin, I know we said we got to get you out of here. I do want to ask you one last question, as long as you're close to the situation. Alshon Jeffrey in the mid-5th, is that a guy that you would be hopping on board with there at that value?
I actually, for the first time tonight, I drafted Alshon Jeffrey, but no, it's a guy that I generally do not touch. I don't like Alshon. I think you could get a guy very similar to Alshon's production 3 or 4 rounds later. So I'm going to pass on Alshon and go with somebody with a little bit more upside at that point.
Well, we went with somebody with a lot of upside tonight, and he came through.
You.
Yeah, no, not you, Dave. Kevin Proctor, the 1250 live best ball number 3 FFPC returning champion. Kevin, listen, man, awesome to have you on. A lot of great stuff from you tonight. Thanks so much for joining the show. Best of luck to you in all your leagues this year. And listen, when Week 14 rolls around, I don't care if he's starting for the Ravens or not. Do not start Robert Griffin III.
I'll definitely take that, keep that in mind, and thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure, and I love the FFPC and what you guys do. The only platform I play on, customer service is outstanding, and I look forward to a great summer of drafting. So thank you for everything you guys do. Appreciate it.
Oh, very nice. Thank
awesome,
you,
Kevin. We'll see you out in Vegas, man. Woo!
Yes, I'll be out there soon, I promise.
All right, fantastic. Kevin Proctor, the 1250 FFPC number 3 live best ball chance in 2017. Yeah, Throwbacks. The Throwbacks franchise joining us today, and good guy to lead off season 7. That was a lot of great stuff from him. Yeah. Were you surprised with the Alshon that he wasn't on board with Alshon Jeffrey?
You know why I'm not surprised?
Why?
Because I've been trying to pitch Alshon Jeffrey and Carrington,
and you can't get anything.
And none of you know. Yeah.
Well, clearly, not. Listen,
I could offer
no one is giving you anything for him after this.
Alshon Jeffrey for like Trubisky, and you guys be like, hard pass.
Hey, who would you rather own in Dynasty right now, Brandon Cooks or Alshon Jeffrey? Really?
Cooks is still in his prime.
But he's still a guy that you're trying to. How old is Alshon Jeffrey? He can't be that old.
29, 30.
Is he really that old?
By the way, Brandon. The one underrated thing about Brandon Cooks, I I've been plotting Brandon Cooks off.
By the way, I just started searching Alshon Jeffrey, and the first autofill that popped up was age. Alshon Jeffrey.
Yeah, everyone
he just turned 28 in February.
28, okay, so.
Birthday on Valentine's Day, by the way.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Go ahead.
One thing about Brandon Cooks that's underrated, I know I've been pitching him around because I love DJ Moore so much. I've been doing deals with him and DJ Moore. It's probably a mistake, whatever, who cares. Cooks has been injury-free his entire pro career. And you know what a good predictor of injuries is and not getting injured? Not getting injured.
Right, yeah.
So you don't get injured, you're not very good at getting injured.
Right. Best ability is availability, as it were.
That's true. It is like if our buddy from Cornell was in here, Kern Reeve, he'd be telling us oh, that's right, it's a predictor.
Kern probably has a published paper on injured insects and the recovery time that it took. He's probably got some sort of
whatever.
Some sort of farm or rehabilitation facility in his office at Cornell where he keeps track of how long how long he has to wait to care for them before he can release them back into the wild.
You know what I'd really like to do, to be honest with you? I'd love to shadow Kern for a week or two and pretend I'm a doctoral.
That would be fun.
That'd be great. And be oh yeah, and then just say nothing but just stand there and listen to all the stuff he says and just nod or make weird faces when people come in and ask for stuff like an undergrad and be oh right, yeah, that's terrible. I just feel like a total knob.
Well, I'm going to let you be a total knob right now to me when we do Fantasy Flash. I want to thank Football Guys, Roto World, and Rob for tonight's rundown. Some juicy nuggets floating around the NFL this week, Dave. Royce Freeman is going to have a chance to become the, quote, 1B back to running back Devontae Booker, according to
fiction,
Mike Kliss of 9news.com. Mike Kliss is saying this is a 1A and 1B situation, and sounds like Devontae Booker is going to be the guy at least to start training camp, but no C.J. Anderson. There's going to be the opportunity in that backfield between Booker and Freeman. How do you see this situation right now? You already were a little snarky before I could even get the news.
I'm sorry about that. Obviously Booker's terrible and Freeman's the new guy in town. Booker's underperformed. I don't see him not losing the job to Freeman.
He's going to lose it to Freeman.
The way that they're being valued right now, everyone's predicting that. I don't see any reason why that's not the case. Booker's not that special. I mean, Freeman actually was a super productive running back. He would have gone higher. He would have gone a lot higher in this draft were it not for being such a deep running back class.
Royce Freeman, ADP 507, Devontae Booker at the 12-12. Now, I'm going to bring this.
That's really a massive disparity.
It's a massive disparity, but does that make getting the starting running back for Denver in the 12th round, almost 13th round, does that not make that a value right there?
No, it actually is a good value.
Now, would you be targeting both of those players, especially in a best ball format?
Super cheap, yeah.
To lock up that Denver rushing game?
I would go if I grabbed Freeman, I would go as early as the 11th round to try and get Booker just to make sure I got him. Just why not lock that up?
Just curiously, this probably helps nobody and there's no actionable advice here. Who would you rather have if you could only have one? Royce Freeman at the 507 or Devontae Booker at the 12-12?
In a best ball.
In a best ball.
I might actually take, as much as I am a big Freeman fan, value-wise, I might take both.
Booker, yeah. And you're going to have the opportunity to take both.
I can spend that 5th round pick on something else, though.
Right.
And then just say, oh, Booker, why not take a flyer? Just in case, Freeman could bust. I would say the odds of Booker outperforming Freeman are probably about 40%, right? So I can easily favor Freeman, but the cost is so cheap relative to it that Booker is the better play. That comes up all the time in stock trading and economics and things like that. People make those mistakes all the time.
I don't want to do a would you rather for this one, but guys going right around that Royce Freeman area are Ronald Jones, Sony Michel, Dion Lewis, Alex Collins, and Nick Chubb.
Well, there's various ones I would rather have.
Right.
But Rojo for sure, I'd rather have him.
Sony Michel?
I'd rather have Sony Michel.
Chubb?
Over, I probably would rather have Chubb because I think Chubb is quite a bit more talented.
You would rather have Royce Freeman than Dion Lewis and Alex Collins then? By the way, I've agreed with you so far on all these.
Okay, cool. That's actually, yeah.
All right, I'll just tell you this right now.
I think I'll pass on Dion Lewis versus Freeman. I think I would probably take.
I would definitely take Freeman over Alex Collins for me.
Yeah, because Collins, he's supposed to deal with Kenneth Dixon and all sorts of other stuff, and he's not a super special talent. He's an undrafted free agent came over.
Ronald Jones, we just talked about him. He's been catching a variety of passes during rookie minicamp. He will have the opportunity to play in space and will line up as a receiver in Dirk Cutter's offense. This is from Jenna Lane's report on ESPN.com. Rojo could be that three-down talent the Buccaneers have been looking to replace Doug Martin with. The last guy they had who could do it was Doug Martin. And obviously he's a home run hitter as well. Ronald Jones, Dave, I know you like him for Dynasty. Can you get on board with him at the 501 in best ball?
I was trying to pull up this really quickly. I didn't really...
I'm sorry, do you need me to vamp for a little bit longer?
No, whatever. The show's whatever. But there was a RotoViz article that talks about receiving market share.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, Darius Geis, of the running backs at LSU, he had 15% market share of receiving for running backs, which is very poor.
Yeah.
But Ronald Jones didn't have a lot of catches for USC, but I don't remember the number, but it was around the 58 to 65.
For running backs at USC.
For running backs at USC, he caught like 60% of the passes, let's just say 60.
Okay.
So he was a very, they don't throw the ball to running backs very often, but they do. They will throw it to Ronald Jones. And he looked great at the combine, looked great at the pro day. I mean, I saw his interview, and he's like, oh, yeah, man, just receiving. If that's he's a good receiver. And you look at him, he looks like he's going to be a good receiver. He doesn't, his body type is not the type where he's like this clunky, big, large, 5'11", 245-pound turd that can't catch passes. He looks like he can catch passes pretty easily.
USC does not throw to their running backs often, but when they do, they prefer Ronald Jones.
That's very true, actually. That's very true.
T.Y. Hilton has stood out so far in the off-season program for the Indianapolis Colts and appears to be giving Frank Reich, their new head coach, his full effort. Well, God bless him.
I'm glad he's trying.
I'm glad that
he's making $8 million a year, whatever it is.
Yeah,
I'm glad he's trying.
It's nice to see him trying this year.
He cut out fast food, I heard.
Maybe Zach Kiefer from the Indianapolis Star just needed something to write about here, but this was his report.
By the way, Zach, Z-A-K.
Yeah. No comment. T.Y. Hilton has had a bad year last year. He did not.
Mom, thanks for the name.
He did not hit 1,000 yards. That was the first time in 4 years he has not done that. Obviously, he did not catch passes from Andrew Luck last year, even though Jim Irsay had us believe that he would have been catching passes.
Until early September that he was telling us that Luck was going to be throwing them the ball.
He finished as the WR25 in standard scoring, this according to Football Guys. I don't know what he finished in PPR this year. What I can tell you, Dave, right now, and I think I know your answer to this, but I feel like we're obligated to talk about it. T.Y. Hilton going at the end of the third round, which is interesting because I think he's like T.Y. turn yes Hilton. Turn yes, because 2 years ago he was going at that 312.401.
Oh, that's right.
Then last year he was going at like the 212.301, and now here he is back at the 312.401. It's always at that, he's always going on the ends for whatever reason. So T.Y. Hilton, are you getting on board with him at the end of the third round? No, Balky, I'm not. Let's move on.
No, I'm not going to totally do that.
Who would you rather have?
No, Balky, I'm not.
Yeah, who would you rather have this year for guys going right around that same spot, T.Y. Hilton or Amari Cooper?
I don't like Cooper, but I'm taking Cooper.
Really? Wow.
Well, first of all.
And you would take Thielen over Hilton, right?
Probably, yeah.
I don't know if I would take Cooper over Hilton. I would. By the way, I'm going to let you get your point out. I'm going to let you finish. But this is one of the greatest questions of all time. Tyreek Hill and Doug Baldwin, I would both rather have than T.Y. Hilton there as well, and they're going right at that same spot.
Really?
Yeah.
I look at Doug Baldwin.
What's surprising about that, Baldwin?
No. Okay. First of all,
you would rather have Hill than Hilton. Correct.
I would rather have Hill and Baldwin than Hilton by a lot.
There you go.
First of all, you don't know that Andrew Luck's coming back.
No, you don't. Yeah.
And the fantasy drafters are discounting Andrew Luck. He's QB11 the last time I checked.
I will look that up right now.
So if he was totally healthy, he'd be like QB3 or 4 or whatever, 2, 3, 4 in that range, right?
Yes.
And so he's not. He's QB11. So they're discounting that, but they're
still
not
QB11 at the 904.
They're not discounting Hilton properly. Because you have Doug Baldwin getting passes from Russell Wilson, who was like the number 1 or number 2 quarterback last year. He's fantastic.
Should be a target monster.
Yeah. Who else? Yeah. Graham is gone. And then they lost Richardson, and they have Lockett, who's been sucking.
They have Lockett and Jerron Brown. I mean, is there for...
Granted, one could say, they're going to double cover Baldwin, this or that. But whatever. He's going to get open. He's going to be fun. And then...
They'll scheme him open, Dave.
And then Mahomes is like Mr. Rocket Arm. They like Mahomes so much. They saw him play one game, Week 16. Right. They're like, Alex Smith, who was like, what was he, the number 4 fantasy quarterback last year?
Yeah, I think he was
He's
4.
like, get out of town, son. We don't even need you.
Yep.
And so then, that's what they think of Mahomes with the huge rocket arm, too, with the big, long, deep playmaking guy, Tyreek Hill. So I think Hill's going to be just fine as well. I mean, granted, you got Sammy Watt coming to town, so he's going to bust off 40 catches for 700 yards, be overdrafted like usual, and maybe get hurt.
Percentage chance Andrew Luck is under center for the Colts in week 1.
Okay, I'll say 65.
Okay, that's a lot higher than I thought you were going to say.
But that's pretty low, though. I mean, because these guys are
For
talking
these guys,
like
it's a done deal.
No-brainer,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. No, I get it.
Keep in mind, okay, so he's currently not throwing a football. He's throwing a weighted ball. We don't know what that is. It could be a Steely if you're playing marbles. It could be a ping pong ball.
A tiger eye or whatever.
You have no idea what the weighted ball is.
Right.
He's not throwing a football. So in like 120 days or whatever, he's now expected to throw this 15-ounce football.
Yeah.
45 times a game at like a 50, 60 miles per hour.
Is that how much they weigh? 15 ounces?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I never knew
in that
that.
neighborhood. Well, that's part of the inflation gate or whatever.
Yeah.
But he's supposed to
inflate gate. For as much as we heard it, I don't know how you butcher it to call it inflation gate.
It's kind of fun. Who cares?
Yeah.
But I mean, if he's supposed to throw it 40 times a game, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's not looking great. Speaking on Good Morning Football this week, David Johnson says his goal is still 1,000 rushing yards and 1,000 receiving yards. In his second year in the NFL, he had 879 receiving to go with 1,239 rushing. So it seemed like it was attainable to go 1,000 last year. Had a wrist injury in the first game of the season and basically never came back after that. This is not a debilitating injury. It's an injury he's fully recovered from. He's had all offseason to prepare. And yet, Dave, when he was coming off that second year in the NFL, he was the de facto 101.
Yep.
And maybe you saw Le'Veon Bell go at the 101 in a couple of drafts. Most of the time it's David Johnson.
Yeah.
Misses all year for, again, an injury it's not a knee, it's not a lower body thing.
Right.
Nothing like that.
It's kind of a quirky injury, to be honest.
Yeah. And now he's going at the 104. Now it seems this is going to be a weird question, but is he undervalued at the 104 right now?
Yes,
okay.
Okay, who's going ahead of him? Let's just walk through.
I don't even have to tell you. You know who's going ahead of him.
So we got Elliott?
Yep, at the 103.
I think that's a mistake.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why in a minute.
Okay.
Bell?
Yep.
I think that's also a mistake.
Okay.
And the other guy?
Yep.
Saquon?
No. Todd Gurley is.
Oh, it's Todd Gurley. That's right. Okay. He's the guy who won me all those leagues.
Right.
Okay, so I cannot argue with Gurley. He had a fantastic year.
I would still take Gurley over David Johnson at this point.
Okay, and Le'Veon Bell had a great year as well, but he's holding out. I mean, I'm going to get into Le'Veon Bell a little bit with my Jalen Samuels.
Right.
But Le'Veon Bell, he's holding out.
Uh-huh.
He's not signing his franchise tag. He's pissed off. He's probably smoking the reefer right about now, whatever he's doing.
The views of Dave Gerzak do not necessarily represent the views of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour in Eric.
No, he's been suspended for games. He's had. We're going to get into Le'Veon Bell.
He's had issues. Yeah.
So it needs the team and Le'Veon Bell are not kosher together right now at this point. I think you can agree with that.
I've seen better synergy.
Right. So that we'll get into that more. But David Johnson's happy. Their team's good. Ezekiel Elliott.
Well, is the team good though?
Well, we'll see about that.
I mean, he's good with the team, but
he's good with the team. The team is not great, but
the counter argument to that
Sam Bradford is not a terrible. He's an NFL caliber starting quarterback. He is. And
he'll be starting for 2 or 3 games there before Rosen takes over.
And then Rosen's fine. He's got the weird look in his face or whatever. Yeah, Elliott, okay. First of all, Tavon Austin.
By the way,
Austin, there's only 90 plays in a game on offense.
Okay.
Tavon Austin is going to get 12 to 24 of them. That's a lot of plays. Elliott might only get 4 carries a game, 5, 6 carries.
You say that in jest, but there is something.
I'm actually being truthful.
There is something to the fact of the Cowboys want him playing running back.
The web back. Right.
They want him doing that. They're not a heavy pass volume team.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
How many catches is Elliott going to have if Tavon Austin is the shifty guy coming out of the backfield?
The point I want to make is you can throw stones and say Dallas, the Cowboys coaching staff for saying 12 to 24 touches for Tavon Austin. You can call him an idiot, whatever you want. Fact is, they still said it. And if they believe that, it's going to come. And if they try to implement it, it's going to come at the expense of somebody. And it seems to me the easiest one that would be, maybe Cole Beasley. It comes at the expense of that. But Ezekiel Elliott that's a dent into him too. I would rather I don't know how much better the Cowboys' offense is than Arizona. Frankly, I don't know if it is better. And I could easily see that David Johnson is playing on a better offense in Arizona than Elliott is playing in Dallas. And I know the offensive line in Dallas is better than Arizona. But by and large, I think that you can make the argument that David Johnson should be going ahead of Elliott. I don't know if I'm with you yet on Le'Veon Bell being a mistake at the 102. I certainly see the argument. But when you have a team that is built to win this year, they can easily ride Le'Veon Bell for however many, 400-plus touches or whatever again this year, and, really run him down going into free agency. I think Bell would be on board with that because he wants to inflate his numbers, and the Steelers obviously want to utilize him as best as they can.
Right.
So I'm not sure I'm all the way there on taking Johnson ahead of Bell, but for sure over Elliott.
So, and again, you go back to 2017 running back stats.
Yep.
The top 8 running backs all had 52 catches or more. So, will Ezekiel Elliott have 52 catches?
How many did he have last year, just curiously?
I thought he had it in the 30s. Again, he missed in time. He missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games.
Well, he obviously wasn't a top 8 back because of all that time he missed.
Right, he missed 6 games. He had 23 catches, and so he would not have had 50-some. But he was actually...
so he played in 10 games, is that accurate?
Yeah, on a points-per-game basis, Elliott was running back 3. And so from that perspective, he's being valued fairly. But there was not the Tavon Austin factor, which sounds so stupid, kind of.
I don't even think he would have hit 40 catches last year if you extrapolate that.
One thing to consider about Elliott last year is he had a 43.3-point game playing at the 49ers where he had 147 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns, 72 receiving yards. He had a massive game. And I'm not saying you won't have that, but that is a little bit of an outlier, and that doesn't matter, actually.
Moving on. Bucs offensive coordinator Todd Monken said Chris Godwin has, quote, earned the right to start. Godwin actually did pretty well last year as a rookie when he got his shot. He had 55 targets last year. Out of those 55, he caught 34 of them for 525 yards and a touchdown. He's obviously not leapfrogging Mike Evans there, and they do have O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate at tight end. But Dave, Deshaun Jackson, I know we're talking about a bounce-back season for him this year.
No, we're not.
Well, some people are, I'm just saying.
Yes, we're not, though. Let's just be clear. We are not talking about...
We are not talking about Deshaun Jackson bouncing back.
All right.
But Chris Godwin could easily step in there, and he makes for a sneaky pick there when you talk about him being the number 2 receiver on a team that has not fixed all of its defensive issues yet, could be involved in some classic NFC South shootouts. Godwin's an interesting guy right now in FFPC drafts. He is the 2208.
Oh, that's ridiculously low. He's going to move up, granted, from this news.
Mm-hmm.
But I totally agree. I think Deshaun Jackson is way overrated. I'm not a big fan. In fact, he's one of my cut candidates on one of my dynasty teams. And I'm talking about keeping a player like Justin Watson, who's on the same team, in his
2305.
2 positions below Deshaun Watson, or between Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah. So he's going at the 2305. Chris Godwin at the 2208. You know who's going at the 2207?
No,
That's right, Tavon Austin, which he's going to move up to.
Yeah, he's been recently moved to running back for FFPC, but we don't even know where he's going to finish out.
Who knows? I don't think the team knows.
Yeah.
We're running out of time, so we're not going to play the drop. But you specifically came out this week and said, we need to make some time on the show this week for me to defend Jalen Samuels and why people are missing the boat on him. So I'm going to give you the floor right now. You take this however you want, but I'm only going to restrict you to saying that you have to talk about Jalen Samuels.
Sounds good.
All right.
So this is a player that came upon him or whatever. So let's just talk first of all about the situation with Pittsburgh.
Okay.
We have Le'Veon Bell. He's holding out. He's getting franchise tagged. He has not signed the tender. This is now his 6th season with the Steelers.
Wow.
There's been a lot. He's had his issues with the Steelers. He's been suspended in August of 2016. But the team was very. They're a family-type team. They were kind of pissed off about what happened. So they were not happy about that. Tore his MCL in 2015. He had a sports hernia surgery in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So he has had 1,229 NFL career carries, 1,626 regular season touches, 1,720 touches, including the playoffs.
I believe for 3 straight years he ended the season with a knee injury, too.
He's had injury issues, absolutely. Last year he had a 73% market share of rushing. So who was his backup? His backup was James Conner. They took him in the 3rd round.
Fitzgerald Toussaint, too. I mean, you could make the case it was...
But Conner was supposedly the guy. But
supposedly, yeah.
He scored. He had 32 carries for 144 yards. No catches. 0. 0 catches, 7% market share. And then he tore his MCL December of 2017. So James Conner is not a pass-catching back.
No.
He's not. He's really, okay, if you're the Steelers and you're like, okay, well, we have Bell, we've had problems with this guy. Do we trust James Conner? And the answer is steadfastly 100% no.
No.
Right? So then you look at Jalen Samuels, and let's talk about his combine real quick.
All right.
Then let's compare him to Le'Veon Bell.
Sounds good.
6'1", Jalen Samuels 5'11.5". Bell's 230, Samuels is 225. Bell ran a 4.6, Samuels ran a 4.54. Vertical and broad jump, 31.5 to 34.5 for Samuels actually won that one. Bell was 118 to 121 for the broad jump. The three-cone drill, which is a huge thing for running backs, Le'Veon Bell had a 6.75. That's a really good running back on a three-cone drill at 230 pounds. Jalen Samuels, 6.93. That's pretty solid. That's not far away.
Right.
Bench press reps 24 to 18 for Bell. Jalen Samuels in college, listen to these numbers.
Okay.
182 carries for 1,107 yards, 28 touchdowns in 182 carries, 6.1 yards per carry. The yards per carry equal all the guys like Barkley. Actually, it's better than Barkley, no offense. But it's like equals like guys like Chubb, Sony Michel, Ronald Jones. Rashard Penny was actually higher because he was in that worst conference. So let's talk about receiving because Samuels played like tight end as well on that team. He's like a Swiss Army knife. 201 catches for 1,851 yards, 19 touchdowns receiving, 9.2 yards per carry. So this guy, out of 383 collegiate touches, had 47 touchdowns. 12% of the time he caught or ran in a touchdown. He threw a 59-yard touchdown pass. He had 9 kickoff returns, averaging 23.7 yards per return last year. He was on the Biletnikoff watch list, as well as a semifinalist for the Mackey Award for the top tight end.
Biletnikoff is for top receivers.
For receivers, yeah, exactly. So this guy is like can play. Obviously, he's a fantastic receiver. He does not have the patience of a Le'Veon Bell, granted.
Right.
But if you're Kevin Colbert from the Steelers and you're
the GM,
and you're dealing with Le'Veon Bell and his contract demands, and these guys are up against the cap a bit. They can't just. Maybe you're a team that doesn't want to spend $60 million on a guy and they actually made him a reasonable offer last year, Bell, and he passed and he played out the franchise tag, and they're going to tag him again. Maybe they're going to tag him again. Maybe they don't want to sign too long to be able. They see what Samuels amounts to as a backup. And if maybe Bell's an attitude problem, you don't know. So the point is, Samuels is a really solid prospect for a team that doesn't like its starting running back. Even though Le'Veon Bell is a superstar, in 2019, Samuels has a legitimate shot. When I say legitimate, I would say maybe a 20% chance that he's the starting running back for that team because of what his talents are, his athleticism.
I'm sorry, what percent? 20?
20. I think 20. And that's not great, but he's almost free in dynasty drafts.
Yeah, I mean, 4th round, is that what he's going?
Yeah, like late third,
fifth round in FFPC.
Late third or 4th round, you can just get him almost for free.
You want to guess where he's going?
And if nothing else, you have Le'Veon Bell's backup, a person who has smoked pot and has also been injured, and has had injury problems on a pretty darn good offense.
You want to take a guess at where he's going in best ball drafts right now?
Samuel?
Yeah.
24th round?
2605.
Look at that. It's almost free.
Does that make, I mean, I guess Arizona, like David Johnson's backup is what, Chase Edmonds? Are we assuming that at this point if you're drafting now?
I don't even know. I think so.
I kind of like, it makes it more attractive when I can get the backup later when it's like kind of a known quantity. But I guess for Bell and Johnson at this point, I think I have a similar level of confidence in knowing who the backup is at this point, and they're both going extremely late, so I can't value one over the other basing a tiebreaker on that or anything like that.
So yeah, if you draft Bell, the nice thing is you get to pick up Samuels and reach on him and take him to the 20th and still feel pretty good you're going to get him.
That's excellent stuff. I think you've driven up Jalen Samuels' ADP, no question, here tonight.
Yeah, we chose the 2602 now.
Yes, thank you for that. We should do it. We should have like some sort of like Dizzle's corner every week. The Dizzle defense.
Dizzle rant.
Yeah. Not rant.
That's right. You want the alliteration. Dizzle's defense. Yes. No,
I mean just rant. We don't need to. These manufactured rants that go on some of these podcasts.
That's true. Mine was a genuine actual. I'm impassioned. I've drafted him now in a bunch of leagues.
Let's go to the emails. Eddie in Waverly, Ohio. Guys, do I need to seriously be concerned about Calvin Ridley returning kicks this season for his redraft value? I know you weren't big on him in Dynasty, but this doesn't make me feel good about his prospects in general. Thanks, gentlemen. Thanks for the email. Eddie in Waverly, Ohio, Dave. Now, here's the interesting thing about Ridley. First of all, I'll preface this. 13-11 in best ball drafts.
All right.
There is a difference between a guy being placed on special teams and a guy being, like, just worked out on special teams. Calvin Ridley, they basically said right away, not basically, they did say right away, we're going to have him return some kicks. This is before they got him on the field. This is before they saw him in action in a Falcons uniform. This is before he had the opportunity to screw up and suck and look old and slow. Okay?
All right. Has he done that?
He has not done that, to my knowledge.
All right.
So I think that this is not a case of, hey, we're going to use him on special teams because we know he sucks now in doing things on offense. I think this is a case like they just literally want to get him on the field as much as possible. They know he's not going to be the number one receiver on that team at least this year. And this is just an extra opportunity to squeeze some more value out of a guy they spent a first-round pick on. So I'm not necessarily worried about his dynasty value, redraft value. And honestly, Dave, I'm not a Ridley guy, but in the 13th round for the number 2 receiver on that offense, when I've basically, done with Austin Hooper at this point, I've never been a Mohamed Sanu guy in the past. I can get on board with Ridley in the 13th round to redraft, returning kicks or not.
It depends on who else is going that spot. I'm not totally familiar with
I can tell you who.
Sure, go ahead.
Cameron Meredith, Alan Hearns, Marquise Lee, Rashard Matthews, and DJ Moore.
All right, I'd probably let Ridley go at that point. I'm probably taking all those guys that are Ridley.
Really? You would take Alan Hearns over Calvin Ridley?
Yeah, I would.
Cameron Meredith and his shredded knee over Calvin Ridley?
They paid him 2 years, $10 million, and he's on the Saints.
And Chicago let him go without even a third.
That's pretty funny. What do you think, Traquan Smith? The guy probably squats 185. He's got the tiny little.
Listen,
there's a lower body of a 14-year-old girl.
All the glute muscles.
A 14-year-old soccer girl.
All it does is slow you down. Look at Calvin Ridley. He weighs 130 pounds. You think that guy ever lifts weights? No, he can't. If he wants to have any value on the field, he's got to be flying up and down there.
He's power cleaning 25.
Yeah.
He's got 95 on
exactly, and that's what keeps him healthy and fast.
Yeah, Ridley. I think he's. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of him in Dynasty. And in redraft, I can't get behind him over anyone who's played in the NFL.
Okay, that's fine.
So Cameron Meredith, guys like that. Or Hearns. I mean, the whole Michael Gallup thing is great, but Hearns is the guy. I mean, we know Terrence Williams is awful.
Right.
And Rico Gathers, whatever. So Hearns might have to be the guy there. I mean, they have to throw to somebody, right?
Let me give you two other players that are going basically in that same area, just to really test your mettle here on not taking Ridley.
Right on.
Calvin Ridley or Mike Williams?
Oh, Ridley, yeah.
Calvin Ridley or Deshaun Jackson?
I'll take Ridley. Because Mike Williams, come on.
All right.
That's a colossal bust.
Next email. Thanks for taking my email. I have a 2-part question. 1, who is the Colts' number 2 receiver? And 2, does it matter with the ambiguous injury of Andrew Bad Luck? That is Keith in Charlotte, North Carolina. Thank you for the email, Keith. Number 2 receiver for the Colts,
Andrew
Dave.
down on my luck.
Andrew down on my luck? No. Well, I'll pass that on to Keith in the Queen City there.
To luck.
Okay, so the Colts' number 2 receiver. We know Hilton's the number 1. We know Moncrief is now in Jacksonville. Potential choices for that number 2 receiver. You already mentioned. Let's talk about the guy you already mentioned. Therese Fountain, basically not going anywhere in drafts right now.
What is he? He was a 6th-round pick.
Was he that late? I don't know.
5th or 6th.
Deion Kane, I am not seeing going in drafts right now either. Now, the other guy that we've heard some scuttlebutt about him being the number 2 receiver there, Chester Rogers, going at the 25-12 pick. So FFPC players are certainly on board with Chester Rogers as the number 2 right now. I feel like maybe we should answer the second part.
Well, and Ryan Grant as well. They just signed him to that contract.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He actually passed the physical.
He passed the physical.
Oh, congratulations.
Well, hold on. Is it any surprise that he passed Indianapolis' physical?
That is awesome.
I honestly don't think that anybody should be
Dr.
too shocked.
Kevorkian, welcome aboard this Colts organization.
I mean, that would have been the first thing.
Did you do a shoulder workup?
They saw that Ryan Grant failed his physical in Baltimore, and he's like, bring him in!
James Woods walked
We'll
up.
pass anybody.
Oh, man. Any given Sunday, Balky.
I mean, Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne would probably pass physicals at this point. For Indianapolis.
Wayne might still start there.
Yeah.
So I think.
By the way, Ryan Grant 25.06, so
right,
basically the same spot as.
Yeah, you got to give Grant. I would say give Grant the nod, but I think Darius Fountain has a shot.
Okay.
I think I think Deion Kane. He was rated really highly by our buddy Matt Waldman.
Yeah.
And
our buddy.
Well, someone's buddy. And,
well, I mean, like, we don't dislike him. I just don't think he knows who we are.
Whatever, it's fine. He's an analyst.
Right. Well, people know who he is.
Yeah, he doesn't like football that much, but it's fine. So Darius Fountain, though, is I think the guy that got drafted sooner. The team liked him higher.
Yeah.
So, and I think he's more athletic. I think that matters.
Okay. I'm going to answer the first part of the question by answering the second part. It does not matter who the number 2 is. This is a team that now has Frank Reich as its head coach, a guy who utilized 2 tight end sets like a bodily function in Philadelphia, and then they went out and signed Eric Ebron. They still have Jack Doyle there, so I don't, maybe number 2 receiver, but what is he as far as target option? I don't think it's going to be great. I don't think that's a great offense.
That's interesting. So they got Jack Doyle and Ebron.
They also invested the number 6 overall pick in Quentin Nelson, who is the best best guard in the draft. So maybe there's going to be more of an emphasis on Marlon Mack, Nyheim Hines. Perfect. And
Jordan Wilkins.
Perfect segue.
Let's keep talking about the Colts, Balky.
Ray in Houston, Texas. Dear Thanos and Cable. Are you going to see Deadpool 2 this weekend?
Yeah. My wife and I want to see it.
Did you know
my kids unfortunately cut out of time?
The actor who plays the quote-unquote bad guy in Deadpool 2 is the same actor who played the quote-unquote bad guy in Infinity War.
Actually, no, that's interesting, but I should know that. And I saw Infinity War and I saw the Deadpool preview, but now that you mention it, I get it now. That's really kind of lazy. I mean, who the hell does the casting? I mean, that's a little lazy. Can't you find another bad guy?
I'm sure they could. They chose not to.
So stupid.
Dear Thanos and Cable, is everyone sleeping on Nyheim Hines for best ball? I've been getting him fairly easily in the 13th and sometimes 14th rounds of my FFPC draft, and see him more likely than not finishing as a top 25 running back this season. Wakanda forever. That is Ray in Houston, Texas. So thanks for the email, Ray. And let's talk about Nyheim Hines. So I think he is going at like the 1309 or 1310 when I looked at this before in FFPC drafts. It does seem low, Dave, and I was high on Hines before one of the things I wanted to talk to you about when you're going off on Jalen Samuels, I watched Florida State play NC State, and I couldn't believe that this duo of Hines and Sam, especially Samuels, was really torching the Seminoles defense, and they pride themselves on having a very fast sideline-to-sideline defense, and Samuels, a guy who, again, 5'11", 225, was consistently getting the corner on these guys, and Hines is already fast as hell, so you knew he was. But those guys were both really impressive. I think Hines, again, I've said this before, I think he's like a Darren Sproles-type player. I think he's going to have a Darren Sproles-esque career. And
that's a big statement.
And that is a big statement. This is how I view him. And so the fact that he is, Ray writes here, he sees it more likely than not finishing as a top 25 running back this season. I would agree with that.
I would say I would bet against it if I had to bet. And if you want to put 5 on it, I'm happy to do so.
Okay.
I think he's got a chance. I think the team loves him. That's fantastic. I don't think he did. I think they estimate the 3-cone drill. I don't think he did it. I think that he's a little bit. I think he has a lot of great. His speed is amazing. He's got great straight line speed. I don't think he has agility and side to side movement like you really want out of a top running back. So I don't think he's got that Sproles-esque nature. So I think
that's a fair point.
He's got the good north-south speed, but I'm a little worried about his ability agility-wise. So.
Okay. You make a pretty compelling case there for Nyheim Hines.
I said like 2 statements.
That said, Nyheim Hines finishes the season as a top 25 running back. I got 5 on it.
Oh, I got 5 on it. Okay,
so Lunas is really loud there. I don't know why. Just blew my ears out. I turned them off right away. Okay, so Nyheim Hines. And the final email tonight. Okay, but in the 13th round, we should actually talk about this here for a second to really flesh this out for people. There's not a whole lot of running backs going in that area. Bilal Powell, Devontae Booker. I know you don't like Booker. Bilal Powell or Nyheim Hines there. Who would you like? I'm taking Hines basically ahead of all these guys.
I'll probably take Hines.
Hines or Corey Clement?
I'll take Hines. I'm not as big of a Clement fan.
Hines okay, just tell me when I hit on somebody here. Giovanni Bernard, James White. No.
No.
Here's an interesting one. Theo Riddick.
No, I don't like Riddick either.
I mean, I like Hines, but I think I might take Riddick over Hines. Riddick is the only guy I'm sure of in that Hines backfield. Yeah, but Kerryon Johnson is not going to all of a sudden be taking over third downs there.
Riddick is all overrated. You think Riddick's going to be a top 25 back? You just said Hines is going to be. Riddick's not going to be a top 25 back.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Riddick sucks.
That's a good point. Dante Foreman.
No.
C.J. Anderson.
Foreman, I don't think Foreman. I'll take C.J. Anderson probably. Okay. I don't think Foreman makes it back. Although, I don't know about. Yeah, he's just going to be a 2-down back.
Last one then. Marshawn Lynch.
I'll take Lynch.
And I would take Lynch over Hines there.
All right.
I'm a little surprised. Well, whatever. Let's get to the last email of the night. Hey, Balky and Dave, Matt Nagy seemed. This is actually interesting. Before we get to the actual question here, I want to get your opinion on this. Matt Nagy seemed like he was falling all over himself in a Pete Carroll-esque manner today, talking about Tariq Cohen, Allen Robinson, Taylor Gabriel, Adam Shaheen, and really everyone. Did you see this at all today?
I heard about the Cohen, but I didn't hear that he was infatuated with every dude on the team.
I mean, it was just and the Pete Carroll-esque thing is spot on because this was Pete Carroll is Mr. Positive about everything in Seattle.
Right.
Well, yeah, I know he broke his leg last week, but we're hopefully can come back for the Thursday night game. You know what I mean? That kind of. And he was talking about how Shaheen is a great fit for their offense. Allen Robinson is right where they want him to be at this point. Taylor Gabriel is going to be big. Not all these guys are going to be awesome. They just can't.
You know who might not be awesome? Matt Nagy.
That is a great point. They should ask him, Matt. Hey, Matt, what do you think about Matt Nagy as a head coach? Well, we'll sort of evaluate myself as the season.
Given that you love everyone, we're starting to doubt you.
Anyway,
they're not all great.
So, by the way, this is Wes in Garden City, New York. Right. The one guy I wanted to ask you about is who I view as the most important. Can you play a Would You Rather with Allen Robinson? Well, we certainly can play a Would You Rather. We are running way late on time, so I'm not going to have Rob play the production here. But let's play a Would You Rather with Allen Robinson, and I will start with Allen Robinson or Allen Robinson or Jarvis Landry.
This is for this year.
Redraft.
I'll take Landry, actually.
Okay, I would take Robinson there, and it's not particularly close. Allen Robinson or Brandon Cooks?
I'll take Robinson.
It's like you're slow playing a poker hand.
Yeah, I gotta think about it a little bit.
Here's an interesting one for us.
It's a low volume passing offense, and Cooks is a deep ball guy.
I know this isn't exactly the same, but Allen Robinson or Juju Smith-Schuster?
Robinson.
I agree. Allen Robinson or Josh Gordon?
I don't trust Gordon enough to take him over Robinson. I'll take Robinson.
So Josh Gordon or Jarvis Landry, you would take Jarvis Landry then, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Me, I would.
Allen, I agree with you on that, by the way. Allen Robinson or Alshon Jeffrey?
I'll take Robinson. I don't like Jeffries.
I agree. Allen Robinson or Demaryius Thomas?
I'll take Robinson. Although I actually like Thomas more than most people do, I think.
I do too, and I'm also taking Robinson. Allen Robinson or Stephon Diggs? Thing is, I liked Thomas last year, and it was
didn't work out so well.
No.
I'm gonna go with Robinson only because I think Diggs has to share a little bit with Thielen.
Yeah, that's what worries me too. And Cousins is actually talented enough to spread it around. So I agree with you there. Allen Robinson or Larry Fitzgerald?
Fitz.
I agree. Allen Robinson or Amari Cooper?
You know what? You just never know. You just never know when Amari Cooper might have one of those mysterious unreported injuries during the season. So I'm gonna have to take Allen Robinson.
So terrible. I'm gonna have to prepare a dossier of Amari Cooper injury stuff from the 2017.
He might just disappear out of nowhere and then report it after the season again.
My project for the weekend: go to the library and get on the microfiche machine and see if I can queue up all these Amari Cooper articles.
The mysterious case of Amari Cooper.
Allen Robinson or Adam Thielen?
I'll take Cooper. All right, I'll take Robinson.
I will agree. Yeah, I'm going to agree. Allen Robinson or T.Y. Hilton?
Robinson.
I agree. Allen Robinson or Doug Baldwin?
I'll take Baldwin for sure there.
Yeah, I think I will too.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying.
Oh, that's close. And then I think I'm going to stop. Well, no, I'm going to do two more. Allen Robinson or Tyreek Hill?
Hill.
I agree. And then Allen Robinson or A.J. Green?
Green.
Okay. I thought you were a little down on Green this year, but
No, he's good enough.
fine. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for our show. I want to oh, by the way, I'm going to make a special mention of this. A big happy birthday to the Dizzle tomorrow, turning, what is it, 55? 56?
29.
Oh, 29. Interesting.
56.
Wondering if you pick up on that. So happy birthday to you. Obviously, we will not be doing a show tomorrow. That's why we did the show tonight. I also want to thank Kevin Proctor for coming on the show tonight. 1250 FFPC Best Ball number 3 defending champion. The FFPC, Rob, Bryce, and of course you all get my undying thanks. Thank you so much for tuning in on a Thursday night. Next Friday, we return live with 10-time Football Guys Players Championship league winner, Jeremy Mills. He will be on the show next week. Register for the main event, Best Ball Dynasty Leagues, now at myffpc.com. Get in on that Football Guys early bird. Plenty of Football Guys drafts, plenty of Best Ball drafts, and Dynasty drafts are sneaking up too. If you want to get in on a startup, now is the time. You can draft all you want this weekend with the FFPC, and of course your weekend starts now.
This has been another episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by myffpc.com that was broadcast live and heard around the world. Eric and Dave will be back next week with more analysis, interviews, and advice from a guest much smarter than they are. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk with you again next week.
About to call your ass a Uber, I got somewhere to be. I hear fairy tales about how they gon' run up on me. Well, run up when you see me, then we gon' see. I got enemies, got a lot of enemies. Got a lot of people trying to drain me of this energy, trying to take the wave.
I know I said I wouldn't do it, but I may have to revisit this Theo Riddick bet. I'm not gonna do it this week because you're so adamant that he's not gonna be a top 25 back. I'm not too sure about that.
You know, yeah, I'll throw fire on that bad boy.
I know you will. I will consider it a standing offer going into week 4 when he is the RB6.
Whatever.
All right, enjoy the season 7 premiere. Another great year lined up for y'all. Thanks for listening.
Service and savings. It's Woodman's.
Hi, we're the
Woodmans.
Woodmans.
I'm Clint.
I'm Phil, saving you tons of money for your barbecue.
2.5 pounds of Sheboygan brats, $5.49 each. And 17 pounds of Frontier hardwood lump charcoal, just $8.99 each.
Ay caramba, this is a home run.
Lump charcoal for $8.99, brats for $5.49.
Hot, hot prices.
Service and savings. It's Woodman's. Service and savings. It's Woodman's.
Hi, we're the Woodmans.
I'm Clint.
I'm Phil, saving you tons of money for your barbecue.
2.5 pounds of Sheboygan brats, $5.49 each. And 17 pounds of Frontier hardwood lump charcoal, just $8.99 each.
Ay caramba, this is a home run.
Lump charcoal for $8.99, brats for $5.49.
Hot, hot prices.
Service